Alright, be honest, at some point you've stood in front of a mirror and kinda sized yourself up. Like, where would you land if you lined up everyone you know from best looking to worst? Where would you actually land? Everybody does this, and nobody ever cops to it. Well, back in 2007, South Park went and made a whole episode about what happens when that little ranking in your head goes from a mere thought to an actual list on paper made by someone else. And yeah, it goes about as badly as you'd think. So the girls in the 4th grade made this list where they rank every boy in the class by looks. The cutest ones on top, the ugliest down at the bottom, and they keep the whole thing on lockdown so that none of the boys can see where they landed.
That the girls in our class have a list that rates every boy's looks from cutest to ugliest.
And right off the bat, before we even get into the carnage, it's pretty obvious what South Park is actually jabbing at here. See, in real life, these rankings are pretty much always the other way around. It's usually the guys ranking the girls. And this isn't some rare freak occurrence either. Like, this is genuinely the idea that Facebook crawled out of. Zuckerberg's very first site was literally just 2 girls' photos slapped next to each other. Click on whoever is hotter, and congratulations, you've invented misogyny, patriarchy, and the origin of most modern evil. And then every couple years, some high school ends up on the news because a pack of boys got caught with a spreadsheet ranking all of their female classmates with little scores written next to their faces. So it's a real thing, is the point, and South Park being South Park just flips it around to see what happens. Anyway, the boys catch wind that this list exists, and they immediately lose their minds. Cartman's over here insisting that there's no way he's not near the top. Craig is dying to know who's stuck at the bottom, and Kenny is just quietly worried that they docked him points for being poor. It's a full-blown meltdown over a piece of paper that not one of them has actually laid eyes on yet. And then there's Kyle, who, bless him, says the single most sane sentence that anyone manages to say in this entire episode.
You guys, who cares if the girls make some stupid list? Girls make dumb lists all the time.
Which makes him, for a solid 4 minutes or so, the smartest guy in all of South Park. But we all know that's not gonna hold. So eventually, the boys cook up a whole heist to steal the list. Honestly, the plan is a genuine masterpiece of idiocy because it's this big, multi-step operation that Cartman maps out on a chalkboard like he's planning a bank job and doing it Mission Impossible style, and the linchpin of the entire thing is sending Butters in to kick the girl who is guarding it square in the nuts! Which, you know, runs into some problems.
Okay, our mission failed, but we've learned a lot. Primarily that girls do not have balls.
They sure don't.
But they get there in the end, and the second that list goes up on the bathroom wall, you watch how a single number crawls inside each of those kids and rewires how they all think about themselves. Clyde lands at number 1, and this kid, who up until this exact moment had roughly the personality of a wet napkin, is suddenly standing in his bedroom half naked, posing in the mirror like he's auditioning for a body wash commercial.
Hey, what's going on?
Then you've got Butters, who comes in at number 11, which is not good, it's nowhere near good, but it's definitely not last. And somehow that alone is enough to make the kid's entire month.
Mom, Dad, I'm not the ugliest kid in the class. Kyle Broflovski is.
And then there's Kyle, Mr. Who cares, it's just a piece of paper. Dead last. 16 out of 16. And not only is he last, but he's sitting 1 spot below Cartman, which, if you know anything at all about the war between them, is a fate genuinely a little bit worse than death. And so he spirals. Now, a lot of people feel that it's somewhat out of character for Kyle to be so upset. Like, he's supposed to be the rational one, right? But I think making Kyle the character who spirals is exactly what makes this episode so brilliant. Because, think about it, this isn't a vague feeling that maybe people don't like him. It's the opposite of vague. It is a concrete number. It's official. Everyone hates him. Every girl in his class came to the decision that out of all the boys, he is the least wanted one in the entire class. That is a brutal thing to find out about yourself at any age, but especially as a 10-year-old, when your classmates are pretty much your whole social world, and the bottom of that social ladder is a genuinely miserable and lonely place to suddenly find yourself standing. So, Kyle losing it isn't him being a drama queen, he's reacting exactly the way you'd expect a 10-year-old kid to react to learning that he is officially the most unwanted person in the class. And that right there is the thing that this whole stupid, beautiful episode is secretly built on top of. The problem is that the exact second Kyle saw himself sitting at the bottom of that list, he handed it every single ounce of power that it had over him. He let this piece of paper tell him what he was worth. And that, by the way, is the entire reason those Rate My Face apps and the whole "bro, what's your PSL score" things even work on anybody in the first place. It was never about the app being correct about your face or some objective measurement. It's about whether you'll believe whatever number it decides to puke at you so that you question your own self-esteem. And Kyle believed the number. And that's right about when his whole life starts coming apart at the seams, and the people around him aren't helping. There used to be a time when if you'd picture a kid getting torn apart over his looks, you'd picture a bully, one specific little jerk, or maybe him and some of his friends, and the comforting thing about that version is that you can deal with it to some degree, even though a lot of the time the adults are kinda useless. The problem has a face, it's someone else doing it to you. But Kyle gets a place on a list that takes up a life of its own, a new set of rules that everyone around him just starts following at the same time, and not one of them thinks they're doing a single thing wrong. It's just numbers, it's just the math, right? Like you've got Cartman, who comes all the way over to Kyle's bedroom window in the middle of the night, purely to tap on the glass and rub it in.
I'm better looking than you. The girls think I'm better looking than you, Kyle.
That's Cartman for you. Then there's Butters, who was panicking about being last himself like a day ago, now doing this.
Hey, nice ears! Pizza face!
Then Clyde, who's actually trying to be nice because he has nothing to lose now.
You know, Abraham Lincoln was super ugly too, but look what he accomplished. Chin up, cowboy.
Which is somehow worse than Cartman. Clyde means it. He's number one. He's feeling generous, leaning down from his new mountain to pat the ugly kid on the head with no clue how he sounds. It's a guy who never missed a meal telling you that hunger builds character. His parents get in on it too, going for the exact opposite.
You're not ugly, Kyle. You look just like your father.
Oh, God, I do?
And then Craig on the playground, not even talking to him.
Could somebody toss the football back? It's over there next to the ugly kids.
Kyle's whole personality became just a thing you point at and laugh. And the thing is, none of those people are exactly wrong to do it because they're all just reading the same piece of paper that Kyle read. This is the new reality. These are the rules. There's no single villain to go square up with after school. There's just a list that took on a life of its own and got the whole school to fall in line behind it. The kids on top, the kids in the middle, the kids near the bottom, all of them, and then Kyle right at the bottom. So, Kyle, having decided that the list is gospel now, goes and sits down with the other ugly kids, and one of them says,
Sometimes I just want to burn it down. Burn the whole school down to the ground.
It makes you feel for the kid, right? And that's the entire reason this episode matters in 2026, or every year, because it's pointing straight at something that's been swallowing people around us whole. Think about where that kid's head is. He's not Kyle. Kyle just got here. Kyle's wound is fresh. This is just his life, and he's worked out, the way you do when you've been hurting long enough, that nothing he does is gonna move him up that list. So the only thing left that feels like it carries any kind of power is just burning the whole thing down. And that's the headspace I really want to talk about, because when you've felt that unwanted for that long, your brain starts to genuinely beg for an explanation. It needs to know why. It needs to create this structure to explain it, to make you not the whole victim anymore. Why is it everyone else and not me? And the most comforting answer in the whole world, the one that takes the entire weight off your chest in a single move, is that none of it was ever your fault. It's everyone else's fault. The game was rigged before you ever sat down to play it. You just don't have the right score, but the scoring system was wrong. Everyone else is out to get you. And once you're in that headspace, you start looking for people who feel the same way, because misery loves company, but it loves agreement even more. And there's no shortage of places online that'll have you if you feel that way, right? Whole communities of guys who've all come to the same answer, that it's genetic, it's hopeless, the deck was stacked, and isn't it a relief to finally be around people who just get it? So we're all on the same team, hating all of those other shallow people and those women who hate us just because we genetically have bad looks. And anyway, the one figurehead of this community everyone knows is now clavicular. This kind of thing passes the buck around every once in a while. It was Tate for a bit, and then it's some other guy trying to convince young men that they should hate women because they have it handed to them by the world. And these people pull like 6 figures a month, basically just sitting on stream, rating strangers out of 10, and standing next to other dudes to unsuccessfully mog them. Clavicular is just one of those guys who fell for it and ended up on top, injecting cancer into his veins so that he could stay at the top of that list and become the influence that other guys lean towards. And the funny part is, if it were funny, is that his whole worldview is the black pill. It's all genetics, it's all bone structure. You're born a winner or you're born a loser. You'd think a guy preaching that would just tell everyone to pack it in and not try at all. But his actual brand is the total opposite. It's looksmaxing, which is basically going, okay, sure, it's all bones and genetics, so I'll just change the bones and the biology and physically fix myself. And he means that as literally as it sounds. This isn't a healthy skincare routine and a gym membership and developing your personality or anything. The stuff in these circles goes all the way to actual bone smashing, where you can hit yourself in the face with a hammer or your own fist over and over again because some made-up science swears that the bone comes back harder and sharper and you'll look cooler afterwards. And maybe not a lot of people do this exact thing, but it's this concept of harming yourself so that you end up being cooler and smarter and stronger and better looking for the women. Except it's never for the women, is it? It's for the other guys, just so that you know you're in a better ranking relative to them. Within this ideology, there's steroids, there's surgery, there's snorting meth to kill your appetite so you stay lean enough. A kid who's been told he's worthless gets handed a chisel and told that the only way to succeed in life is if you look like handsome Squidward. And the part that should make you mad is how the whole thing is just designed to feed off of your insecurities. It doesn't actually fix anything. There was a survey going around, and something like 63% of young guys say that they follow these looksmaxing and masculinity types, and more than a quarter of them said that the stuff makes them feel worse about themselves. So it doesn't actually help anything. That is the entire grift. You make them feel like garbage, then you sell them the fix, and then you make sure that the fix never fully works, or maybe that it would work if only you tried it a little bit differently or paid me a little bit more. So this kid is gonna come back tomorrow with his mom's credit card out. Their misery is the product. The second they feel okay, they stop paying, they stop being part of these communities. So it's never possible for them to afford leaving those communities. They have to stay miserable. So where is a kid supposed to go from here? Kyle has already pretty much given up. The only next step for him is to join one of these looksmaxing communities, right? He's planted himself at the lunch table with the other ugly kids, and he gets this one little second where he tries to claw his way back out of it.
No. You know what? Screw this. We aren't ugly.
And that lasts all of 5 seconds before it collapses, because hey, these kids are a little bit ugly, not gonna lie. So, by that night, he's lying in bed, flicking a lighter on and off like a tiny, depressed arsonist, and this is where the episode pulls its single weirdest move, which is that the actual ghost of Abraham Lincoln shows up in his bedroom to give him a little talking to. He takes Kyle on this whole tour. First, he shows him a woman named Nancy Pinkerton, gorgeous her whole life, everything handed to her, who ends up at 40 sitting alone at her kitchen table with the personality of a boiled carrot. Because when you're beautiful early, nobody ever bothers making you build anything underneath it. It's possible to just coast on looks and not build character, which is a bit of an oversimplification, but there is some truth to that. Then Lincoln shows him one of the ugly kids, named Yamal, sitting there playing piano, actually working at something, bettering himself, practicing, improving, and he says that that kid is gonna grow up with character, with purpose. The thing that the good-looking ones rarely get around to.
Now that he knows he's good-looking, he doesn't have to make any effort to be special.
So Lincoln is basically handing Kyle the actual answer, gift-wrapped. Quit chasing the ranking. Go be a person. Go do things that you care about and that you can rank yourself on. And then Kyle says the most honest thing in the whole episode.
But I can't wait to be an adult to be happy. That's forever from now.
And Lincoln's got nothing here. He calls Kyle an asshole and drives off. And neither one of them is wrong, right? That's the whole trap of it. Everything Lincoln said is true, but it's also asking a 10-year-old to just sit tight and wait years for the payoff while he's getting called pizza face at 8 in the morning tomorrow. When you're a kid, 40 isn't even a real age. It might as well be the same as being dead. It's just a possibility in the future, and not anything real now. So the single truest thing that anybody actually tells Kyle this entire time turns out to be the only thing he physically can't even do anything yet, because the part of him that needs to hear it is too busy drowning. Even his mom telling him he's handsome does nothing, because right around his age, whose opinion counts quietly swaps over from your parents to the kids your own age, your peers. Mom will always think you're perfect. She has to, she's your mom. So that's not going to be worth anything in the cafeteria when you're surrounded by other kids. Your mom already gives it to you. A number that your classmates assigned you, that outranks her completely. So, now you've got a kid in genuine pain holding the right answer in his hands, completely unable to feel it or do anything with it. And in the episode, that's the exact moment somebody steps in to save him. In real life, it's the exact moment somebody steps in to tell him the answer is a lie. So here's the twist, and it matters for everything. While Kyle's up on the roof with a can of lighter fluid, genuinely about to torch his school shooter style, Stan and Wendy are off cracking the whole thing open, and it turns out nobody actually voted Clyde the cutest. The list was faked. Clyde's dad owns the shoe store at the mall, and the girls wanted free shoes, so they cooked the rankings to shove Clyde up to number 1, and everybody else got shuffled around to make room, and Kyle just ended up sliding all the way to the bottom in the reshuffle.
It was about shoes, Kyle. The girls wanted shoes, so they set you up.
Kyle was simply a casualty.
He was just a casualty. This kid nearly burned a building down over a number that got faked so some 10-year-old kids could score a discount on shoes. His face had nothing to do with it. The list was never measuring faces in the first place. It was measuring shoe money. They then offer him the real list, the honest one. He could actually finally find out where he lands, which is almost certainly way above dead last. And he burns it without even looking.
Abe Lincoln was right. I don't want to find out I'm good looking and become a total shithead when I grow up.
There it finally is. Lincoln got through to him. It took a ghost, a full spiral, and a rooftop, and almost destroying the entire school and everyone inside it, but the thing Kyle couldn't hear back in his bedroom finally landed. He's not burning the list because he's suddenly enlightened or anything. He spent 2 days living inside that ranking, watched what it did to the kids on top and the kids on bottom, and he worked out that the number itself was the poison, high or low. Sometimes you just can't know that kind of thing, or else it poisons your mind. So he might end up eventually figuring out that it doesn't really matter either way. The answer was Lincoln's answer the whole time. Kyle just had to go all the way to the bottom before he could actually pick it up. So even though Kyle recognizes that those numbers still really matter to him, he burns the real list so that nobody finds out. And I think about that more than I expected to, because it's such a strange thing to root for. He didn't gain enlightenment or learn anything amazing or develop some new insight per se. Every part of you actually wants him to look, to see his new ranking, to have his self-esteem back. But self-esteem as a result of a ranking that other people give you is not real. I mean, I wanted him to look, I wanted to see what the actual ranking was, but that's not the point. The ranking was never the point. It was never supposed to be the point. I mean, he's probably like a 6, a 7. The kid's fine. Everyone's a 7 if you put effort into it. Like, come on, man. Just go peek and feel better, whatever, right? But that's the trap. Looking at that list, caring about what other people think is the trap. And somehow, this dumb cartoon, which is far from dumb, understood it better than basically anyone selling advice about this stuff online. Any of the looksmaxers and those toxic masculine people who are telling you that you need to get women this way, you need to do this thing the right way or else women won't like you, blah blah blah. That's all bullshit, right? This is a trap for people to stay miserable. Anyone trying to pursue other people and fix themselves for the purpose of being popular or for sating themselves is not going about it the right way. If Kyle looks and he's a 7, then he's still on the list. If you enter yourself into these rankings, then you compare yourself to other people. You shouldn't. All you should be comparing yourself to is yourself, because that's the only thing that really matters. On the next list, the one in middle school, or the one in the comments if y'all decide to actually rank these kids, or the one on a dating app somewhere, that one might say something different, and then his mental health will go right back down, and he will go right back up onto that school roof. So yeah, looking and being part of this whole thing was never gonna save him. Not giving the list any power over him is the only thing that does. But putting the list down is only half of it, because you've still gotta put something where that list was. You've still gotta have something that pushes you forward, that makes you try to improve, just not in the way that this list does. And here's the part that the black pill actually gets right, weirdly. It just sends you in the wrong direction with it. When you feel like this, when you actually feel lesser than others, when you feel like you're not good enough, you really do need to go find other people who get it. That instinct isn't wrong. It's just that there's two rooms that you can walk into, two different kinds of people. One room is full of guys agreeing that it's all hopeless and that it's a kill or be killed world and that it's dog eat dog and that you have to do anything it takes and that you need to gain others' approval and that it's all genetic and that you need to smash your face in order to get there and that it's basically hopeless and that it's everyone else's fault and that there's nothing you can do, and then you just spiral and spiral and spiral, and that doesn't help anyone. The other room is full of people who felt exactly how you feel at some point and decided to go build something out of it instead, decided to build their self-esteem out of something more stable. The only thing that really changes is whether you point all of that hurt out at the world or back in at the work so that you can look inside yourself and actually develop, work on your shadow, actually fix what hurts you. This episode actually shows you both rooms inside one kid, because the rooms are actually in your mind. It's where you go inside your own head that really matters. Remember Yamal? He's the one at the table, the one who was a bit ugly, who said that he wanted to burn the whole school down. And also the one that Lincoln points at later, sitting at a piano, getting good at something, and working on himself. And that's the whole answer right there. It's stupidly unsexy, but hey, it's the kid putting the lighter down and picking the piano up, figuratively. Find a thing, a hobby, people to hang out with who don't care about your looks, who don't focus on that kind of thing. The environment can reflect your own attitude back at you. Go get strange and be obsessive about a thing. Find the people who are into that thing too. Make something that's bad and then make it a little less bad next week. Instead of focusing on how you come off to other people, just worry about how you come off to yourself and work on a thing that you would make yourself proud to do. None of this will bump you up in the looks ranking, whatever they still have in the looksmaxing community, because that'll still exist, but you can leave it where they have it. You don't need to get involved. That's exactly the point. This slowly makes the ranking stop being the room that you live in. You don't beat the list, you just move out. Lincoln was right, basically. He was just 150 years early, and also kind of a dick about it, but he was right. And honestly, that's the whole pattern with these shows. A cartoon ends up having the single most grown-up thing to say in the entire episode, and the actual adults, the parents, the founding father, ghost, whoever, mostly fumble it. Which, funny enough, is just as true for today, and it's true for the feelings that nobody our age ever got taught how to handle well enough, comparing ourselves to others. We live in a social media age, and it's not a healthy atmosphere, so you have to work on yourself to prevent that toxicity from entering your life. It's not an easy thing, but it is something that is worth it to work on. So yeah, I know that's really hard to do, is caring more about yourself from your own perspective, from inside your own head, than caring about what other people think and project onto you. I experienced that myself. I was bullied in middle school, I had body issues, I felt like I was too overweight, I wore a lot of baggy clothing. A lot of people go through that, and it's really tough to move through that. I know I'm gorgeous now and everything, but I still have periods where I think I'm not up to my own standards or other people's standards, and I have to fight that feeling on the inside. So that's where we're gonna actually head next. The movies and cartoons that explain love for others and for yourself better than any adult ever bothered to, because hey, sometimes the adults in the room are just kids that never grew up properly. The video should be on screen right now. Like and subscribe, and we'll see you there. Peace, y'all.